right, Gator fans, we are joined today by legendary Gator quarterback and now Gator media personality, Shane Matthews. Shane, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, glad to be here, Allie.
All right, we're going to get right into it. We're going to talk about your specialty first. I want to talk about UF's offense this season. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of what I thought. I was really excited watching practice back in early August, two-a-days, things of that nature, because they were throwing it around, and I was like, man, this team can win 8 or 9 games, in my opinion, because I was extremely impressed with Graham Mertz. I liked the wide receivers, and I knew we'd have a good running attack. But Billy is Billy. I mean, his philosophy. He's somewhat conservative, wants to run the football. I get it. But they have some guys that can really make some plays, in my opinion. And whether moving forward the rest of the season we throw the ball a little bit more, who knows? But we just got to find ways to win games. Whatever it takes, I'm all for that.
So you mentioned that Billy is a little bit conservative, and that's true, but Florida does need to make some tweaks for the rest of the season. Are there anything that you can point out that you think would maybe be easy tweaks that still fall in line with his conservative personality and game plan kind of that could help put some points on the board?
Yeah, it would be just take a couple of deep shots. I'm a firm believer of 10 to 12 deep balls. They don't have to be go routes. It could be posts, it could be corners, whatever, inside fades, whatever. Because typically, if you throw 10 a game, you want to hit 3 of them. You're not going to hit all of them. You're not going to hit 50% of them. But you just got to take your chances there. And, we missed an inside slot fade against Vanderbilt, just about a yard. And I know people are very critical of Graham for missing that throw. But look, turn on the TV on Sundays, and the guys making $50 million miss those throws. You got to keep calling them.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I know people talked about the protection. There are things you can mask the protection by getting the ball out quickly, keeping your tight end in to help block. There's multiple ways. But when it's all said and done, Billy wants to control the line of scrimmage, wants to run the football. But we have 3 or 4 really good wide receivers, in my opinion.
Did you think that the Vanderbilt game was called slightly differently offensively than we've seen in the past? It felt like, anyway, even if it didn't work, that there was a few more shots taken, a few different things tried than we'd seen in previous weeks.
Yeah, and they moved a couple of guys around on the offensive line due to the guys being hurt, and I thought we ran the ball pretty well in this game. Now, granted, it's Vanderbilt, but still, it's an SEC opponent. But yeah, you're right. We did throw some different route concepts. Will those continue? I'm hoping. You can always add to your route concepts as well. As I said, I think the quarterback is outstanding. I think he's extremely smart, accurate. He's mentally and physically tough, and I'd like to see him put more on his plate and let him go play.
What are your thoughts on Napier as the offensive coordinator? He wears a lot of hats for our team, obviously. Do you think it makes sense to hire one in the offseason?
Possibly. I've always been, my belief is you are who you are and what got you the job.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, his track record, he called the plays Louisiana. That's who he is.
Sure.
But football has changed. People talk about Coach Spurrier calling the plays when he was here. He was the head coach. But the dynamics of being a head coach in today's world is a nightmare, in my opinion, because you have to deal with NIL. You have to deal with not recruiting 24/7, 365 days a year, but you got to recruit your kids too to stay on the team. So it's a mess. So it may be a good idea for him to look for an offensive coordinator when the season's over with, but he's going to evaluate himself. And, it's kind of hard to hire somebody when you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. So the Gators have South Carolina this week. South Carolina's coming off of a bye. Columbia is a tough place to play, and William Brice Stadium gets wild even during the daytime, and Florida hasn't been good on the road. What do you expect from this game Saturday?
Well, I think we're the better football team, but I thought we were better in Kentucky too. But we have not played well under Billy Napier on the road. I think we're 1-8. Something has to change. I travel with the team on the plane. We travel like any other teams that I've been on since I've been playing football. But you got to do something different. I don't know what it is. We did different things when I was with Coach Spurrier. We'd go to the facility of the opponent and goof around for an hour, like play two-hand touch, kick field goals. I kicked field goals the whole time, kicked field goals and punted, just goofing around.
Yeah.
We went to the movie. Um, and everybody's so uptight nowadays about meeting times and things of that nature. I even joked about on the broadcast with Sean Kelly late in the Vanderbilt game that maybe every player bring their own pillow. Maybe they'll sleep better in the hotel. I don't
Yeah.
know what has to happen, but we got to find a way to win a game on the road. This is one of the most important games Billy Napier's ever coached because this is the one game that can really take us in the right direction for the rest of the year.
Yeah. It's almost like it's not even about the wins and losses so much as the way that Florida has lost on the road. They just look unprepared compared to
Mhm.
what they look at home. And you're right. I don't really know what the fix is for that, but they do. They look unprepared. Talk about the difference between being 5-2 on Sunday versus 4-3.
Yeah, that's huge. That's 5-2. I think majority of the Gator Nation would take that going into the Georgia game at the beginning of the season. 4-3 just looks bad and it sounds bad. If you go 5-2, if we're 5-2 going to Georgia, we still control our own destiny
Mm-hmm.
to go to Atlanta. Believe it or not, people don't think we can, but anything can happen in college football if you watch it on a weekly basis. So that's why I think it's the most important game that Billy's coached, mainly because it's on the road. As you mentioned, we have done some bonehead stuff, mostly special teams wise on the road. Special teams has been pretty clean at home, but
Mm-hmm.
on the road at Utah and on the road at Kentucky, it was just not very good. So I'm anxious to see. He's kind of tweaking the schedule. I don't know what all that means on this trip,
Sure.
but we'll find out. Hopefully, it pays off.
Looking ahead at the rest of the schedule, there's no easy games from here on out. Florida will play Arkansas, Missouri, LSU, Florida State, and Georgia. Best chance of an upset out of Georgia, LSU, and Florida State?
Well, I'm not a big believer in Florida State at all. I went going into that game last year. Um, I watched the tape and I'm like, we're just as good as this team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they don't. They're a good football team. Don't get me wrong, but that LSU win that they had at the beginning of the year doesn't look that great right now. LSU is ranked so low in defense. They're horrible on defense. They struggled at Boston College. They struggled at home against Virginia Tech. They're fortunate to beat Clemson. I think we beat them at home. Um, I didn't think we had a chance of beating LSU before the season started, but now that I've seen them play, if our defense can make a few stops, we're going to move the ball on LSU. Arkansas is going to come in here probably like 2-7.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're that great. Now Georgia's a different animal. I mean, they're the best team in America, clearly better than everybody. But I'm sticking to my 8 wins at the beginning of the year. But we got to score more points to do that.
Yeah. All right, before we let you go, give me some of your thoughts on Napier in general and the direction that the program is headed. Do you see the building blocks?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of Billy Napier. I think he's a great human being. I don't know if I've ever seen a head coach uh, treat people the way he does. Most coaches are very arrogant and don't want to deal with people, but he's very genuine, and I like him a lot. I think he's got a great plan. He's cleaned up a lot of the mess that was here. But when it's all said and done, you got to win football games in today's world. I think he will. I like the players that they brought in last year. You look back last year's team, the best players on the football team were he was responsible for bringing him here. He's brought some really good players to this year's team. I think next year's team will be even better. But it would be nice to, have 8+ wins for this year. Will help recruiting. It'll help in the transfer portal, and have the program moving in the right direction.
All right, Shane, I feel like you're everywhere. So tell everybody where they can listen to you. You've got a podcast. Every time I turn around, I see your face. So tell everybody where they can check you out.
Well, I do a daily podcast in the morning. It's called Pot Up with Matthews in the morning. It's on. I don't know how any of it works. I just turn my computer on. I got people that do it all. I do some stuff with Buddy. I do a podcast with Coach Spurrier on Tuesdays, and then obviously I'm the color analyst for the Gator Radio Network. So I'm busy during football season, but it's fun, and we all have the answers, right? We just want to win games. That's the big thing.
That's right. All right. Well, thanks for joining me. Go Gators.
All right, Allie. Take care.